We can't believe it. The last week of the season is here. How to make your bets for the Tour Championship. It's a very different structure. You might not want to go outright strokes. Plus, there's the restoration to East Lake Golf Club. What that means for really a different course in 2024, we got to start with this. Do not assume Scottie Scheffler has this thing in the bag just because he starts with strokes. In fact, in the 5 years they've moved to the stroke system, only 2 top seeds have won out of the 5. And Scottie Scheffler didn't win either of the last 2 years. So Benny Bets here on Key Stats. We got a lot to dissect, especially with the different stroke structure and all the different ways people can bet out there.
Of course, that's right, Chris. Yeah, look, Scottie Scheffler, he's been 10 under to start the last 2 years and still hasn't got it done. So you definitely can't assume he's going to be the man this year, despite his dominance all season long. For those that are new, the Tour Championship, Scheffler has earned his spot at 10 under before the tournament starts, down to Schauffele at 8 under, and everyone going down all the way down to even for the last 5 players that made it to East Lake. There's a market there who's going to win the FedEx Cup with that involved. But if you want to go straight down the barrel, we have the 72-hole gross as well, right? So it's all there to still bet on. I'm going to tell you, though, history tells us only 10 guys can win.
Only 10.
And actually, I'll knock that down to 7 before we finish here. But yes, history shows us if you haven't started at 4 under or better, you can't win. So we'll start there.
And that's the preface of this entire segment. We are here to tell you the historical trends of what has happened with previous winners each week. Now, granted, the Tour Championship, very unique, but what Ben just said, we've never seen a winner since they went to Strokes handicap system in 2019. No one has won from below 4 under par. So if we're going to go ahead and say the winner is on this list of 10, here's all their odds to win with the starting strokes. Like Ben said, we're going to get down to 7. He's going to eliminate 3 of these names. They may not be the names you think as well. We have to start, Ben, with the way this course has changed. The restorations to East Lake Golf Club. They did it for many reasons, but the biggest thing we have to talk about is the different types of seating on the fairways and the greens and what that could mean for these players.
100%, Chris. Yeah, basically we're going to get a harder and firmer grass in the fairway, which means it's going to roll more. And because they've taken out trees and gone back to the old school, I guess, sight lines from way back when, they're going to get some runoff. And so players have to be more strategic about where they hit their tee shots, which side of fairways. Will it run off into the rough and get themselves in trouble now that it's harder and faster? Not as sticky, if you will, as it has been in the past there in the humidity, where you can just sort of smash and know the ball will land and stay. So they've got that to contend with. And around the greens, they've also got a different style of Bermuda, which is going to run truer and faster and give us, more exciting putting and situations in the runoffs around the greens as well. So effectively, even though we could, as I said, normally key stats, right? We'd go back through the course, and here we've been coming here for decades, which would tell you who's done what and who's done this. We have to take it a little bit with a grain of salt because, as Xander Schauffele said, this is a brand new course for him, and he's a guy that's, finished in the top 7 all 7 times he's turned up there. He's a little bit miffed, to be honest. He's a little bit annoyed that it's not the same course where he's been so dominant on. But, who's to say he won't be dominant on this new version as well? Of course, he's the scrambling genius. And with all those run-offs around the greens, he might be one of the ones that can actually take them on. You see there also a big change. The first hole has been changed and lengthened. It's now a par 5. So that will give the par of 71 to the course now instead of 70. And the famous 8th hole that you can see there with the water, the whole lake down the left side, they have a tee box option now where that will be potentially drivable. And that could bring some great excitement as guys decide whether they want to take that on and make a move up the leaderboard, especially given the handicap strokes that we've been talking about.
So it makes you wonder if they're changing the way they want the fairways to run to go quicker. Maybe easier might not be the best way to put the 8th hole, but if the first hole is now a par 5, we're looking at driver being a very important part of your bag. Ben had just mentioned how it's very hard to kind of manipulate how you want to look at your strokes and your stats this week because of the changes. But Ben, even before the changes, we had one key stat we were looking at. And now after these changes, the restorations, I think this makes us feel even more comfortable that strokes gained off the tee is
Yes.
going to be our number one criteria this week for picking a winner, no matter where your starting strokes are.
100%. You got to stay out of the rough. And now, as I said, you might have slightly different sight lines, but now you've also got to bring into effect the natural contours of the new fairways, how much faster they run. There's some humps and bumps, etc., that might send what seemingly looks like a good drive, start to send it left or right and into that rough. And you see that four of the nine winners in the last nine winners were first strokes gained off the tee, and none of the winners were outside the top seven. It is absolutely a driving man's course. If you can get it out there in the fairway, you're going to be coming into the greens with a much easier approach scenario. So look, to say that you can get away with driving it poorly is completely incorrect. It doesn't matter what the restoration has brought. They have to negotiate and get on those fairways before they can attack and try to move up the leaderboard.
And we pick our key stat based on what is the most eye-popping, like what stands out the most to us. And Ben had referenced, four of the nine winners since 2015 were first in that stat, but you want to look for consistency. No winner was outside the top seven in that stat. That tells you everything about what you have to do off the tee here. And just most recently, Victor Hovland was gaining 1.2 strokes per round on the field in strokes gained off the tee. And Rory was even better in 2019, 1.3 strokes per round. We're not talking the entire tournament. We're talking per round, which is a massive gap for somebody to have on the rest of the field. So again, strokes gained off the tee is our big criteria, albeit the different changes to the course. That's what we have found the number one unique factor of what all of the winners have done great at East Lake Golf Club. All right, now moving along. We usually do a course history versus recent form stat here on Key Stats every week. But again, because of the changes, we chose to make it a little different, Benny. We wanted to look at the past winners at the Tour Championship and what their best finish was before at East Lake, before they won. Here's your last, 10 winners of the Tour Championship. What do you see in common here, Benny?
I see that almost all of them have had a top seven or better prior to going on to win. So they had some experience at East Lake. They got to know what was going on there. They got into the situational scenarios to win the FedEx Cup, whichever they were, be it prior to the starting strokes or not. They knew that it was points that they had to win or had to do whatever they had to do. And the players that have been successful clearly have enjoyed playing there, have enjoyed being there prior. What is it? 8 of the 10. Yep. Top 7 or better, and one of them, Scheffler, was a winner on debut.
And he loves the course, so I think Schauffele's lack of experience on the course, I think, can be thrown out because he is our horse for this course. This place used to, maybe not anymore. We have no idea. We'll see with the changes. It used to be his course, so I think 2017 can gotta be thrown out, Ben, because it's his course. Didn't matter if it was his first time. Like, he loves the place.
So it's really only Cantlay that hasn't really hasn't been in contention prior to winning there.
Right.
And so that shows you that, you need to not only look at players who drive the ball well, but you need players who have contended at East Lake before. That's a big part of this week.
And I'm thinking about, who drives the ball well. I'm going backwards here. Spieth and Horschel maybe are the only guys who, at that time, were not driving it perfectly. Ironically, Spieth is driving the ball way better now than he was in 2015, but Spieth in 2015 was just a different animal. Everybody else on this list, excellent drivers of the golf ball, so maybe that's just something you want to keep an eye on. Benny, before we go to our final stat here, our strokes gained, let's go back to our top 10, okay? Because we tease this off the top, okay? If you're talking top sevens, you've eliminated some of this list.
Well, you can eliminate 3 from the start. Keegan Bradley has not had a previous top 7 on this course, even though he won last week and is in great form. We have to go against that metric of the last few years where you win twice in the playoffs usually to get it done. So
Hideki's still there.
Case, it's him or Hideki, right? But Keegan Bradley comes off that list.
Bradley's gone.
Ludwig Aubert also, but with the asterisks, as I said, we saw what Xander Schauffele was able to do in his first attempt.
Right.
Will Ludwig be that guy? I don't necessarily think so. Yes, he drives it really well, but I'm a little afraid of his closing ability after what we saw again on Sunday. His final rounds have been struggling. So theoretically, we could knock him off the list. And I think the other one is Burns. Yeah, Sam Burns is yet to have a
Okay.
top 7 prior at Eastlake. So there's 3 more names you can take off that list and say, look, it's down to 7 now.
Benny did the math. Previous top sevens. I'm just going to go through this list that you gave me earlier. Schauffele's got 7. Justin
Yeah.
Thomas, not on this list, has 7. Rory's got 6. Adam Scott, not on this list, has 4. Scheffler's got 3, albeit he starts at the top. Cantlay's got 3. Billy Horschel's got 3. Hideki's got 2. Morikawa's got 2. Finau's got 2. Hovland's got 2. So, you pick your poison on, which stat you want to follow the most versus, do my top sevens really matter?
Yeah, no, well, so you look at, you mentioned like Justin Thomas surprised me. I forgot that he had 7 top 7. Like that's every time he's played at Eastlake, he's finished in the top 7. Okay. He's missed it a couple of times, not been there, but when he is there, he's been in the top 7. But he's starting at even par. He's the 30th guy on the list this week. And look, what it does tell you that is Justin Thomas a viable candidate for your money in the gross market?
Let's get to that.
Absolutely. Right?
And,
Absolutely.
before you continue, here's our top 5. The odds you see are their odds to win gross, no strokes. Everybody at even par. I cut you off. Go ahead and continue because there's Justin Thomas right in the middle of our list.
Yeah, 28 to 1 right there to essentially have the lowest score over the 72 holes without the starting strokes. And people might ask, well, why would Justin Thomas, try towards the end if he's still 6 back or 5 back and he doesn't, the last few holes he's trying to win the FedEx Cup but can't make it? Well, the winner of the gross market gets the world ranking points for an actual win. So it's there for them to chase. Plus, the higher they are up the FedEx Cup leaderboard, as we know, is the more money they win as well. Like the winner gets the big cash and it goes progressively down. No one wants to be the 30th guy at the end of this week. Justin Thomas is going to try to climb up as far as he can. 7 top 7s here in 7 starts gives you essentially some value, 28 to 1 there right away. And you see that his strokes gain is pretty decent. But Xander, again,
crazy to see how high Xander is compared to every single person on this board.
Mate, he has dominated this course. And that's why I said at the start of the FedEx Cup playoffs that when you could get, I think, plus 400 for him to win the FedEx Cup before Memphis, that was the value bet on the board for no other reason than that no matter where he came into this week.
Now he's 225, by the way, 225.
Yeah. And he's starting at 8 under. Plus 400 was a no-brainer for me there because Scheffler has struggled to close the deal at Eastlake. Schauffele has not. He's won it, as I said, as a rookie. He's won the gross part of the tournament multiple times since we've gone to the starting strokes without actually getting the FedEx Cup. I think he has a chip on his shoulder to win the FedEx Cup. So yeah, you can see he's just got to hope that he can handle the changes of the restoration as much as others. Because I know he was a little frustrated that the same course is not being presented. The one that, as you can see here, he has dominated over the last 7 years.
Going down this list, we've talked Thomas, we talked Xander. It seems like almost every other year, Benny, Rory McIlroy, we feel like he's down and he's out, and then all of a sudden he comes out of nowhere. He wins the FedEx Cup. His stats on here pop for a reason. He's played here very well. We're talking about general 72-hole scoring. He's played very well. He's number 2 on our list of strokes gained per round on the field at Eastlake since 2019. Rory, let me pull it up here again because I almost forgot. Rory is starting -4. So he's right on our bubble. He's plus 1,800. He's plus 1,200 to win with no starting strokes. So not as much respect for him as there is for Xander, but what's your thought on Rory? Shockingly, his approach game hasn't been great here. It's been his one flaw.
Well, maybe the change of grasses both on the greens and on the fairways will help Rory McIlroy. What you need to look at here is that top green rectangle, the plus 0.6 off the tee. That is where, if Rory's going to make a run at this thing, whether it be gross or net, it's going to be because of what he does off the tee. The last couple of weeks, he's had some foul balls. Memphis was terrible, hitting it left, right. But at the same time, he admitted himself that he was kind of mentally checked out because he knew he didn't necessarily need to use his energy in Memphis. He tried to ramp it back up a bit at the BMW, had his moments, Will he be back in form by the time he hits Eastlake? I think that he's the one guy on this list that can make a run up the leaderboard. He has proven it. He was -4 when he did win, so he's shown that it's doable. If I was afraid of anyone, as if I was Scheffler and Schauffele and I'm worried about anyone behind me, that's probably the guy. That's the guy that could get hot at Eastlake. That's the guy who can drive the dots off it if he needs to. And then, becomes a factor that you have to think about. I mean, he chased down Scheffler 2 years ago. Scheffler had a 6-stroke lead on Sunday, and Rory chased him down. So, again, if you're looking for value on the board, this one, Rory becomes a potential one-off. He's not in sensational form the last 2 weeks, but I don't think that matters as much as it might at other times of the year.
The last guy I want to talk about is the last one on this list, Sepp Straka. Just not to win, obviously, not to win, and maybe not even to win the 72-hole, gross division. Look at him for a top 5, or maybe even for a really easy bet, look at him for a top 10. He has been consistently good here the couple of times he has played. And doing this research, there was a big drop-off after Straka. I mean, after 5, I think Scheffler was next, and he was barely gaining any strokes at all. That's how mediocre Scheffler's been at this course. So I'd say Sepp Straka is one player. Once these top 5, top 10 markets come out, you start to look at some players who have played well here in the past. Sepp Straka's a Georgia guy. Went to Georgia, not too far away, probably knows the course very well. I'd look at Sepp Straka for potentially a place in market this week.
And I think, as I said, there's going to be a lot of markets that you might not normally look at that you should look at.
That's what I'm trying to find right now.
With these 30 guys. So, for instance, you'll have a lot of group betting because they'll be grouped together with the guys that they play with. I think Straka's a -1 starter. My belief is, like, he's not at the even. He's in that group of 21 to 25. So there, he might be against. Let's have a look. See here. He's going to be against Pendrith, Pavon, Fleetwood, and Horschel. So Horschel will probably start potential favourite there because if he's won here, you'd think Fleetwood's would maybe next. Get the nod, right? So then you've got Straka at a bit of value just to beat 4 guys, right? So these are the ones where I'd be starting to look in your head-to-heads, both each round, who they play with in the first round, and then versus also the 72-hole matchups. There's going to be options and value there. Like, it does take a little bit of research. We're going to do it for you over the next few days as well. In fact, Chris, I'm going to tease this one. Wednesday, I will have 30 for 30, i.e. the best bet that you can place on all 30 players.
Yes.
So you'll have, I'll figure out what Straka's best bet is once all the markets are out. And if you look at that on Wednesday, you might find some diamonds in the rough. And from memory, I think I hit like close to 20 of the 30, and these are random bets last year. So we'll have to just dive in. You do a bit of research, you can find it. Like, what was our lock last week? Alex Noren, top 20.
Yep.
Smashed it.
Yep.
Should have gone top 10.
Yeah, I know. I was going to say, you should have done that. You would have been a lot more bang for your buck.
4 or 5 to 1 on the top 10. But anyway, either way, it's there to be had. We're going to look into all these as the week goes on. I'm excited to see what happens. We've got gross, we've got net to start with. But the next 2 days, you're going to see a ton of other markets for these 30 players.
It's a tough tournament to do this segment, to do key stats for everything we just noted. But make sure you check out Benny's article coming up later this week, how you can bet on all 30 of the members of the Tour Championship.